Welcome to Living in the 21st Century. Joining me today is Maria, and I'm going to ask her to introduce herself to the audience. Maria?
My name is Maria Maksakova. Maybe a little bit hard to remember or pronounce for an American. I thank you very much for inviting me, and also I greet our audience and thank you for having me today.
Okay, beautiful. Today, Maria, I've read a little bit about you, and you have a very interesting life, so to speak. You were born in Germany. You was raised in Russia. You also was married to a Russian politician. You yourself were an MP in Russia politics, and Russian parliament, sorry. And your husband also got assassinated from the Kremlin in Russia. But through all of that, you are still an opera singer. One part of your life reflects joy, and the other part of your life reflects some form of pain and so forth. Kindly explain to the audience a little bit more about your life so we can have a more insightful understanding.
Well, I was born in a typical family because my father, as well as I, were citizens of Germany, and I was born in Munich. Though my mother is a famous Soviet and Russian actress, and of course at that times of the period of the Iron Curtain, you did not have a lot of families who would be built up from two parts, Western and Eastern, that typical capitalism in the face of my father and this totalitarian socialism or even communism of the Soviet times. So I was born in a family that had dynastic roots because also my grandfather and grandmother, they were very famous operatic singers. I was even named after my grandmother, and I began my operatic career quite early. I had that desire to become an opera diva when I was about 14 or 15. At that time, I was a student of Central Music School. I was learning piano, and at that time, I got this desire, and I started my singing career. My mom, as I said, is a dramatic actress, and she kind of did not involve too much, but still I managed to enroll the first theater of my life, the Novaya Opera Theater. And by the way, now we're singing the concerts through all the beautiful America, United States, at that tremendous moment, because these are the feast festives, so to say, the holidays, I would say, not only one day, the 4th of July, but I suppose when you have a date 250 years, you can celebrate the whole month. And so we're having concerts with David Gvinianidze, and we met exactly the day we came to this theater when we both were 22 years of age, and we enrolled at opera theater, and everything seemed to be quite nice. But I made a terrible mistake in my life, because my, so to say, early success made people around me quite crazy, and just a simple criminal, a thug named Turin, he hypnotized me in a way, and unfortunately I had a relationship with him and even children. He was very severe. He was beating me, he was following me, he never let me go, and nobody wanted to involve in that stuff. And so I had no other choice, because even my family and my father, who was a well-known businessman, and my mother, as I said, a well-known actress, nobody wanted to help me, neither my brothers did. And so when I understood that I would not be alive, or I would be handicapped after the relationship of that kind. I had to make a choice. I have to flee somehow, and I began my, so to say, political career out of these thoughts. And yes, I was a member of a parliament, of a Russian parliament, where I finally met the love of my whole life, Denis Voronenko. While I was a member of a parliament, of course, that thug Turin did not follow me any longer. But since we both got out of the parliament, and my husband Denis Voronenko was a phenomenal investigator of different types of corruption and criminal stuff, mainly connected with FSB, and they did not forgive him nothing. Of course, the 11 people who were in his compartment, they were by that time already assassinated by KGB. I'm saying FSB, but that's the same thing. So we had to go somewhere abroad, and because Denis Voronenko, in his roots, he's Ukrainian. He was Ukrainian, so he chose Ukraine, which was very comfortable and nice for him. I love Ukraine, and I loved Ukraine always because my roots also come from Ukraine. At least my grandfather, whom I mentioned already, he was born in Chernovtsi, Maximilian Maksakov, the famous opera singer, baritone. And we went to Kiev, and everything seemed to be quite nice. But then, after half of a year, Denis was assassinated in the center of Kiev, and I stayed there with our child. Ivan Voronenko was 11 months at that moment, and we had to begin everything from the start. And it was a hard period for me because my family did not help me before, when it was only about the thug Turin, but nowadays criminals and the Kremlin power, they're combined. This is as one. So of course my family did not help me. They refused to recognize me and my son Vanya. And so we only had a chance to build up everything again. And I thank so much the Ukrainian people, all the help they gave to us when we were practically alone there. And I made my new career. I sing now in the best theaters and the greatest theaters of Ukraine. My son, he's a violinist. He is 10 years of age now, and he wins the best competitions we have in Ukraine. For example, this spring he won the competition named after Lysenko. This is the main competition for violinists of his age, and I am singing now much more interesting roles than I used to sing while I was a mezzo-soprano in the Mariinsky Theater, for example. I'm singing Leonora in Troubadour, I'm singing Abigail in Nabucco, I'm singing La Traviata, I'm singing Leonora, I'm singing Desdemona, I'm singing Tatiana and Lisa, and all these wonderful parts, Tosca, because I had a wonderful teacher in Ukraine, a new teacher, Maria Stefuk, and she made me sing soprano roles then. Now I have also a great coach in the United States, Bill Schumann, and we're doing my new roles, my new parts. Thank you so much for the chance I have now with the concerts, because David Gvinyanidze, whom I mentioned, we met when we were 22, and now we're having great concerts all over the United States, celebrating the anniversary, the 250 years of the greatest country in the world.
Beautiful. I want to ask this question. While your husband, and we know for a fact that Russia is purely communist and piled with dictatorial standards, was your husband investigating the system or the corruption within the system?
Exactly. He was investigating. It is a famous case called Три Кита, or Three Whales. This is the part when it was made openly to public, and this is just a little part of it concerning the furniture fair that FSB had in 2000. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and on until it was investigated. But the truth is that this was a huge corruption, which was organized by having whole trains from China, and they went to a closed base of FSB without any border control or without any tax control or something like that. That was a pure contrabanda of all possible stuff, of everything that went from China to Russia. And my husband investigated it, and he opened the whole case, and that case was of course made open to the main criminals, to Putin and all of them. And my husband worked that moment for a person named Cherkesov. He was the chief of an organization that was claimed to combat the narcotics, the drug traffic, FSKN. And they opened that whole case. That whole case went to the highest levels, and of course to Putin himself. But Putin decided not to investigate and not to make it, so to say, a huge court process. The other way around, all these people who were involved, they got fired though from FSB, but they got good other positions in, so to say, civil life, and they never got punished for what they did. The other way around, those people who were investigating that whole stuff, all of them were assassinated, and my husband was the chief of that compartment. And in Kiev, he thought to be in a way more safe, but as we have to conclude now, he was not safe enough there neither.
Let me answer this question, and this is more an up-to-date question. Now, there were a lot of sanctions placed on Russia by the United States government and countries around the world, and it seems to be taking effect right now on Russia. Now, the war between Russia and Ukraine is an unprovocative war. It should never be happening in the first place. Right now, Ukraine is making a lot of leaps and bounds in taking the war and battle at the doorstep of Russia. As a member of parliament or former member of parliament of Russia, do you see eventually, if not sooner than later, that Putin is going to throw his hand up and say enough is enough, he have lost the war?
I think he will be forced. I think that the slogan of President Reagan that is also now very actual, and President Trump loves that slogan, peace through strength. I think this is the only way to make Russia stop Glender, or how can you call it? Of course, it was evident already a week after the full-scale invasion that Putin is mad. He is a maniac. And by the way, he is not an intelligent maniac. He is a very ordinary butcher and that's it. But with his aging, he became also very controversial, because first half he was stealing from the budget, and everything that he built were schemes to avoid taxes and build up phenomenal ways to steal money from the budgets and just to get rich in this criminal way. At that times, he was always doing as if he was a great agent of KGB. And all of a sudden, after 2008, he began something quite different. He began to build up out of himself a messiah, as if there is a special path, as if there is something unusual about Russia or so on, about that not existing speciality. And of course now this is a sort of Endspiel. The game is ending, and this is the moment when finally the evil empire can be really eliminated and destroyed. I'm not saying now about Russian people. You can't even say Russian, because Russian is something that is has this national background. But this is all type of nationalities that are, so to say, in a trap of this terrible state that is, of course, ultra leftish. The state is involving in all kind of things. People cannot protest. People have no right of free speech, nothing. And of course, a lot of people are against the regime. But the regime, the FSB and the former KGB thugs, they were until now a little bit quicker. And so these inside opposition never managed to beat the system. But now we are on the point where this can be finally done. And I'm talking about the Black Spark, the movement, Chornaya Iskra, it's called, inside of Russia. This is a very heroic and interesting movement. They are basically burning all these oil industries. Why they are called Black Spark? Because the oil is black, and so it meant to they want to fire and explode everything that fuels the Russian aggressive war machine. And I'm happy to have a chance to talk about it. We were so inspired in Ukraine by that movement that I wrote a song. I keep writing also, so to say, rock ballads and different pop songs and so on. And as soon as I found out that there is this movement, and so successful and so conspirative and so effortful and so just really inspiring, I wrote a song that I gave to them as a present, and they decided to make it their anthem. Yes. So this is a special story about right now. I think that this is absolutely needed right now to put on that sanctions that Lindsey Graham and Blumenthal are now trying to vote in the Senate to put 500% sanctions over the countries that still are having any trade with Russia. This is the point. This is the point where it will be successful, because I think there is about maybe 6 or 8 or 10 weeks left if the sanctions are posed.
Okay. Well, Maria, we are coming to the end of this program. There were a question I want to ask, if you can briefly answer it. But I hope that we can have a next interview after this one, because there's some other questions I really would like to dig into and get your insight on that. But one question I want to ask you, considering your husband were an investigator into the Kremlin and so forth, do you have any fear of your life? I know you have been on CNN and you have airing your views broadly and calmly, but do you have any fear in the process of doing that?
Well, they in Russia, of course, they consider me to be a very unpleasant enemy. Well, probably if they persecuted me with 4.5 years of prison, but they would never have a chance to grab me, Of course, I understand that they would love to do something, but I think in the United States I am quite safe. Even very safe, and also in Ukraine I feel also very safe, and I suppose that the only way to fight with that criminal Russian Kremlin regime is to be stronger and to go until the end. We have to destroy that evil empire, and then we will feel all much safer than now.
Okay. Well, Maria, we have come to the end of the program, and definitely I'm going to call you because I want to have a next interview with you, and we can probably set that up. There's a lot we can really share and get to know. For all those who have been tuning in on Living in the 21st Century, I want to say to you, have a great day. Maria, it's a pleasure having you on. And I hope this won't be the last time, because there's so much we can share together.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me. Thank you so much.
Sure, we'll keep in touch.
God bless America.
God bless America.
And God bless President Trump.